kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to all our viewers to andBeyond Ngala, where we're currently looking at the sun rising. And how beautiful is that? It's a little bit cloudy in the distance. Some clouds moving in from the west, which is behind us this morning. There were a slight forecast of rain, but it's already a little bit humid, and I can hear a Verreaux's eagle owl calling down in the river somewhere. This morning we thought we'd set out, we'll have a look and see if we can find some jackals. So, join us and welcome aboard your live safari this morning. It's amazing how the sun, we've been seeing it come a little bit higher for the past 10-15 minutes, and you can literally feel the heat rising. I think today will be quite humid here in Ngala, which is always a good weather forecast for game viewing, I think.
Morning, Abby.
Game animals are quite busy on humid days like today, so I think we're going to set out and head towards the clearings nearby to see if we might be able to pick up on any tracks. Now, this is probably one of the yes, I'm Yapi, and behind the camera we've got Owen. And like I was saying, we like in lush riverine forest, and we're hoping that we might pick up on any signs. There was a male leopard seen in this area last night, so I am going to have a look and see if we might pick up on any signs of him, like his tracks, for instance. I'm sure he would have used the dry riverbeds in this particular area. And then there's also quite a few crested francolins in this area, birds making a call. Now, I can hear one alarming, but I think that might have just been us that unfortunately gave it a bit of a spook. Now, they're out in the open, and we know that they move early morning, so... But they're clear, or sometimes... one of the signs that we listen out for when we look for predatory animals, especially the leopard, which can in this area hide in any of the tricky spots along this road. There's a dip coming up, and in that dip it's very, very dense, and I know that it's used quite a lot by animals moving up and down this area. An elusive animal that wants to move unseen will definitely use that as a pathway. But we're going to continue. Taryn, if I got your name correctly. Ngala will probably stay this green up until the end of March, more or less, and then it'll slowly but surely start turning. It'll still be dense, because there's a lot of grass this year, and I think the animals will take a while before they crop it down to a point where we'll have a better view, but it'll slowly but surely start changing color to a light brown and then eventually into that golden grass color, which is one of the things I think about when I think about the Lowveld in the winter time. There's also a little bit of mist this morning, so we're coming up to the clearings at the moment, and this is where we're hoping that we might come across some animals busy with their early morning routine. So while we look for something here, we're gonna have a look and see what the weather does this morning.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the dawn. Welcome to Pride and Zika training with our beautiful herd of zebras. It's a little bachelor group of males that are being quite playful with each other in the early morning where it is misty. And hello, everybody. My name is Steve, joined by Johanna on camera, and as always, excited to have you with us and welcome on board our vehicle this morning. We are very excited to be running around, and who knows what we might find this morning. It is a new day, it is a new dawn. It is 21 degrees Celsius here, 69 degrees Fahrenheit, with no precipitation expected, although the grass and ground is very moist with condensation this morning. Don't forget, we are live and interactive, and we'd love to hear from you. So please send through your questions, hashtag WildEarth, or throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. Don't forget, you can also register on the website and head on over to the Live Safari page where you could submit your questions there. If you're under the age of 18, please send your kids' questions through to kidspodquestions@wildearth.tv. Now, this morning it is, as you've already met, Yapi out in Ngala. We're going to be having Phinda out in andBeyond. Peace out in andBeyond Phinda, myself in Prrivate, and Trishala in Djuma at some point this morning. It's quite a nice moment just to be quiet and still and listen. James Richard is watching. I know he likes these guys here. I know many of you like these guys here. There we go. We've got a black-backed jackal, everybody. In the early dawn. There's no doubt that jackal's fur is very wet. Grass is completely saturated. There is a pair we find out here all the time, and very adaptable predator. We find them all over South Africa. Probably hear the Egyptian geese in the background doing a bit of grazing. Mary, I've never seen a silverback jackal. I don't know where they occur, but I would guess the difference between a blackback and a silverback jackal would be the black versus silverback. I'm guessing, without me ever having seen a silverback jackal. I'm not actually familiar with it. These are monogamous pairs, the blackback jackal. They defend decent-sized territories against any other jackal. They're quite sort of aggressive in that regard, male and female patrolling their territory together. Monogamous pair for life. And just like that, it's gone. Shall we go back to our beautiful zebras there? The beautiful morning behind. So a little bachelor group of zebra. Everybody thinks when they see groups of zebra that it's always females, but the boys have to do something, you see, when they get pushed away from the herd. They haven't yet established themselves as a dominant male, haven't yet acquired their first mare. These guys, when we found them, were doing a whole lot of fighting and biting and jumping on each other. Young boys. Okay, well, we're probably going to move on here shortly. We might spend a few more moments, but we're going to send you down the road to Djuma, my good friend Trish.
Pretty sure we lost comms. No way they would stick Yappy with it.
Sorry about those technical issues, everybody. Well, our boys here still continue to battle it out a little bit. Feeding, biting. Typical boys. As soon as his friend turns, he bites him on the ankle. They're very tactile animals, horses and zebras. They love to be touched. They love touching and rubbing. When you find a stallion with his harem of mares, there's lots of touching that goes on. And a little bit of bum scratches on the chin there, nothing quite like it. Nothing quite like a good friend to scratch your ear against his backside. There we go. We'll do a little bit of biting. You see the teeth, the top and bottom of the mouth, incisors. Very, very powerful, very sharp, very dangerous. It's often why you find zebras missing tails. They've been snipped off by other zebras. And the body language, the behavior is very much like that of horses. You see the ears go flat. Obviously the ears are showing the mood, but they're also trying to get them out of the way from being bitten. These animals will bite at whatever they can get hold of when they fight violently. Obviously there's not much in it right now. These boys are just sort of practicing. But when it comes down to proper competition for the right to females, it becomes a little bit more aggressive. And well, no one is shy to take an ear or a tail. Such pretty animals. I love how relaxed the zebra are here. I haven't seen a group of stallions like this before on Djuma's side. So relaxed, he's going to have a poo break. Yes, Justine, they do. They have the loud vocalization that they make, which is a sort of alarm call. I'm not going to mimic it now. I'll scare them. It's a bit early in the morning. My voice is a bit hoarse. That was supposed to be funny, Johan. Johan's not laughing. So they do make a high-pitched sort of, I can't really do it right now. They do snorting, lots of snorting. It's almost like a donkey noise that they make. Sort of a slight rendition of it with a whistle. That's the major one. And that also sort of works as a bit of an alarm call from time to time. But their major alarm call is this expulsion of air through the nostrils. They stomp their feet. There are quite a few similarities to horses. Of course, they are the painted horse. It is a beautiful pink, flamingo pink sunrise. And our boys are on the move. Beautiful morning, nice midweek reflection.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Converging game path will invariably lead you to a water source, but treat all water as suspect. One of my favorite ways of purifying water is to filter out the particulates. And by just filtering it through your sock, you can clear out most of those. You can put water into a snail shell and you can boil it over a fire or using a chemical like chlorine or colloidal silver.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website, but once registered, just head on over to the live Safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
What makes andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve so special is our massive array of habitats. And with that comes, of course, a beautiful diversity of landscapes, but also an incredible biodiversity in terms of plants, bird life and animal life, as well as, of course, our conservation success stories with cheetah, with rhinos, now with pangolins too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Animal hair. So we've checked some clearings nearby and haven't had too much luck, and then we were lucky enough to come across this big elephant bull. And he's just casually feeding off some grass. Well positioned in the shade, if you ask me. Now this is a huge bull, and I think the reason for him being alone is also got to do with that fact. A bull this size he looks quite mature. And you can see he's standing with his back straight towards the sun, warming him up. Now I've noticed he's also got a decent pair of tusks. And if he turns around again, you'll notice that the one on the right's got a much sharper tip than the one on the left. They're actually quite long. The one on the left, you can see there's a little bit more worn down. It's a little bit shorter. And the tip of it looks polished. Now, that's an indication to me that he uses that tusk a lot more. And you can ask yourself the question, and I don't know if anybody has, but animals like us, are they left or right orientated? I think with elephants it's sometimes clear to tell. The other thing about this elephant is I can see that he's got a swollen temporal gland, and it's quite large. There's a secretion coming out, and then also I don't see any urine dribbling from the back, but it does look like this bull is in must. So then I'd say that's the main reason for him being on his own. Now I know the associations with musk, there's often an aggressive animal that others would tend to avoid. But I've noticed once they get more mature, the animals are actually relatively relaxed. They just do their own thing. Yes, as its math cycle runs, it's definitely interested in finding a suitable partner to mate with, but not always the aggressive, charging animals that people might think. While this elephant's enjoying his early morning meal, we might sit here, watch him a little while longer, and we'll head over to Phinda.
Morning and welcome to andBeyond Phinda, where we've just driven out of the lodge. We've had so much rain last night. As you mentioned last night, we could see that storm approaching, and it approached us, and it was quite amazing. We had a lot of rain last night, but it's just stopped, and we drove out and we came across this beautiful zebra. You can see that sweet little foal in the middle there, just checking us out. You can see their tails going. Oh, can you hear those baboons? Sounds like there's some baboons alarm calling in the background. Often baboons will sit at the top of a high point and kind of scan and see if they've got see any predators or anything. But my name's Pete, and behind the camera today we have Simon. It's quite a nice morning out, quite nice and cool. So we're going to head out afterwards and go and see if we can find any predators that are around. But for now we're going to sit with the zebra and just watch what they get up to and listen to those alarm calls. Often baboons or monkeys or even impala help us find predators. They'll alarm call, as we just heard now. And often if you go into that area, there's something there that they're not happy about. But look at this little foal for now. So sweet. If you look at the back of her, almost like a brownish color. JP, it's not quite the same as a dog. So often they will just wag their tail to get rid of flies. So there are a lot of flies out, especially after the rain. We even have some flying around us at the moment. And it's just a great fly swatter for them. You can see that long hair at the end of their tail. Very well designed for swatting flies. If you look at that foal that's just on the right hand side there, we mentioned earlier that it's a little bit lighter in color than the mother. And look at it even try to suckle now. But looking through my binoculars, looks like some of that longer hair. So when they're born, they've got this long fluffy hair all over, and it looks like some of that longer hair is starting to fall out as it's getting a little bit older. JP, you were asking about the tail and its use, when it's wagging like that. If you look at the one of the foal there, the hair on the tail is very short and hasn't quite developed into that long tail the same as the parent. And obviously the longer the tail, the more area it can reach for keeping flies away. So lovely after a morning or an evening of rain. All the birds come alive as well, and they just all make so much noise. Bear here, no, they all got unique stripes, all very different, but almost in a similar pattern. We do get different species of zebra, and obviously they're slightly different. Like the mountain zebra in Namibia has got stripes all the way down to its hoof. They've also got this like gridiron shape just above their tail. That makes them quite unique. And then obviously we get the Cape Mountain zebra in the Cape of South Africa, and that's also once again quite different to this plain zebra that we've got. But every single one of them has got quite a unique, different stripe pattern. Whether it's very, very subtle changes or quite a large change, they definitely are different. If we look just behind the zebra, there's some impala running away, and it looks like an Ngala might be chasing them. Quite interesting. Full of energy this morning after those rains last night. If you look at the back of this zebra here that's facing away from us, you can see those two little black spots behind the ears. That ear is completely white, and then you can see just those black spots. It's similar to a lion or a leopard or a cheetah. They've got those different colorations, black and white behind the ears. And all that's for is a follow me sign. So when they're walking through longish grass, the ones behind them can see, okay, that black color sticks out quite a lot compared to the white, especially in the bushveld, and they know, okay, where they should go and follow the one in front of them. Yeah, those impala are sprinting. I wonder what It's lovely just to sit here and listen. We've got a Piet Mevrou or a red-chested cuckoo calling in the background. Orange-breasted bushrock. Yeah, some very, very cool birds that are busy calling. Get back to the zebra now. If you look where they're feeding, they're quite selective in what they're feeding. There's a lot of grass here that is not as nutritious as other grass. Each grass has their own nutritional value and also palatability. So often some will be a little bit more bitter. But these zebra are very, very selective in what they feed. They'll choose just the most palatable and most nutritious grass. You can see they move their heads around, almost shifting through the grass. We've got multiple different grasses here that they won't feed on unless they're completely desperate. Most of the grass that they're feeding on at the moment is called buffalo grass, and very, very nutritious, good palatability, and it's definitely one of their favorites. If they come up with a mouthful of grass, you'll see they've got quite a broad leaf. So we're going to carry on now and see what else is out there, and we're going to send you off to Yapi. He's got something very small to show you guys.
I wouldn't say it's that small, but it's a beautiful pale morph of the Wahlberg's eagle, which is slightly more of an unusual bird, with one foot that it's perching on and one raised up under the feathers under the belly. What a beautiful bird indeed. You can see it staring down into the grass, and I'm sure it's using this time also to have a look and see if there might be something around, but it's just warming itself up. You can see it's sitting with its back straight towards the sun. And what purpose does that serve? A bit of a dual purpose. I guess it's to warm them up. They must have had quite a cool morning. It was quite cool earlier this morning. And also it helps with the control of parasites. Now this eagle, she or he, I'm not sure, is one of a breeding pair in this area. And not too far behind the eagle, I see there's a smaller bird sitting on top of what seems to be a Peter's fig. Looks like a redback shrike. And then in that direction, there's a tree where this eagle has a nest. And this is one of the few pairs that we see regularly that we know have one pale morph and one darker morph in the pair, and we have actually been seeing this pair returning to this very spot to nest for the past 4 years. It's right along a small dry riverbed. Well, at the moment it's not that dry, there's actually water going through, so it's quite a spectacular, very well positioned spot. Harvey, if I'm not mistaken, I got your question correctly. What causes it to become a pair? Oh, a pale morph. That's a good question. I don't know, actually. I don't think it's a form of leucism. But I've got no clue. And it's something that I'm going to have to research. What's interesting about this specific one, though, is if you look at the wings are actually, like normally the wings in the pale morph is quite dark, and the rest of the eagle very, very light. But in this case, there's a lot of grey-coloured feathers on the wing. And also the chest isn't quite white. What a beautiful bird indeed. Now normally you'd see the other one somewhere perched nearby, or if not, you might hear it call somewhere. But it's already warm enough, so I'm wondering if it's not flying off. Well, I think we're gonna leave this eagle. For now, we'll have a look, see if we can pick up on any tracks in this area, and then we'll send you over to Steve. Or we are not going to go over to Steve, and we'll have a longer look at this eagle. It doesn't seem to show any signs of movement. And I find this quite interesting about eagles, is that they have quite a slow start to the morning. And then in the evening, they usually head back towards their roost quite early on as well, or quite a while before the sun sets.
When on safari, there is nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Being a safari driver requires some serious multitasking ability. You've got to be able to talk, look at the road, steer, and occasionally get the vehicle into the right gear.
Do not crash into any trees. Oh, that's a dozy.
Just jump into the car and hope for the best, and you'll see where it takes you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised they're moving as fast as that didn't go well.
Who is the best driver? Well, me, of course, although some of the cam-ops might disagree. Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for WildEarth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on WildEarth.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want. The wildebeest cross is trying. The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite bird has to be the social weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements, is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Good morning, everyone. Properly and officially, I believe you did see our spots at some point, our spotted hyena spots. We got Heart and her two little ones here having a bit of a suckle. Very nice, pleasant, calm morning out here on Djuma Game Reserve. It's me, Trishal, and I've got Darby on camera with me. It's very misty, and we would like to call it a moody morning. Really, really nice. It's quiet, and it's quite humid as well. But I'm not hearing lots of birds or anything like that. And that makes sense because the air is so dense at the moment that bird calls will not travel very far. So you just hear a few noises here and there, but otherwise, very relaxing scene. Very, very cute. Now, they've been like this for a while. Heart and her son and daughter. And I haven't seen any of the other cubs come out. But, you know, patience pays off here in the bush. And hopefully if we sit with them a little longer, other hyenas will come along and then the cubs will come out. They'll usually feed in the morning and in the evening. That would be ideal. Or perhaps some alarm calls we can follow up that we are able to hear from this hyena den area. I often find Tlalamba just south of here in Treehouse Dam. Or at Treehouse Dam, so hopefully we can get there too and follow up on her in general. Maybe she'll be in an area where we can actually see her, unlike last night where she was so far up in that Tamboti Grove. But anyway, that's for later. Now we concentrate on these two little cubs that are enjoying a mum's milk. Heart wasn't one of the hyenas that I saw yesterday at Tlalamba's kill. So perhaps the other mums are still busy, or sometimes what we call out shopping, getting supplies at Tlalamba's kill. But Heart is the responsible one. Taylor, you'd like to know if it's safe for them to sleep where they are. Well, they're not asleep, they're just resting. They're not fast asleep. And you'll find that animals out here, this is basically how they sleep, especially predators. There's little moments where they'll fall asleep, but they'll still be very aware if anything's happening around them. Also, they have super senses, right? So if they hear something that sounds maybe like a lion or another predator around, immediately their attention is going to be taken, and they'll react accordingly. So they're only about 15 meters from the den. The actual den, the hole of the den. So the cubs would very easily be able to run in. And they use this space quite a lot. And you can see it's bare. And that's testament to how much they use it. And it's a space that smells very much like them, to other hyenas and to other predators. So that can be a positive thing. Maybe they'll try and avoid the area, or it could be a negative thing. Occasionally you'll get a lion that will seek out the smell, or will be walking along on the path that's a little to the west of the den, and then smell the den, and then come this way and see what's happening. We've seen that twice. We saw that lioness come after Corky's little cub. But luckily, it just escaped into the den. Predators will do that to each other's young in order to eliminate competition, because they're all competing over meat in the bush, or prey. So you'll find that they will eliminate competition that way, even if it feels like it seems so useless for them to kill a cub. It still does help in the sense that that population of lions or leopards or hyenas kind of gets constrained by these predator interactions. You'll also notice that, especially with hyenas, when his lion pride's around, they'll behave a little bit differently. You might not see them out as much, or you'll see that the cubs can be quite alert if we're here and there's a pride nearby. Edward, you say that these cubs are behaving for once. Isn't it amazing? I think it's only a matter of time till they misbehave, because as soon as the other little ones pop out, these cubs are all over the place. Maybe they just haven't smelt my shoe yet. I think that's very likely. It's these two that were very interested in my shoes previously. But with any baby, when it's feeding time, nothing else matters. If you're hungry, well, not even baby, any human, any animal, anywhere, once you're hungry, nothing else matters. I can attest to that myself. Very, very peaceful scene here. I'm glad to sit with them and to see what else happens at the den. Patience pants in the bush, remember? I'll send you over to a man that I know has patience pants in the bush, and that's Steve.
Welcome back to Prrivate, everyone, where we moved off to have a look at a harem of zebras with beautiful stallion, and they moved off. And we went off to some wildebeest and had some technical issues, and now our boys have come back out again, and it was quite interesting. They were really horsing around just before, and they're making these like whining sounds like you'd hear a dog make. So I've never heard zebras make that sound before. We were discussing the noises that they make, and I'm not very good at making them myself, but that it sound like a dog, eh, Jan? Mm. Like whining as these two boys are pushing and shoving each other around. Very typical behavior of male zebra, practicing being an adult. And once they reach about 5 years or so, they'll then go off moving on their own, looking for some ladies, which then he'll take the skills that he's generated through this play fighting and activity, and he'll then go and fight a dominant male for the right to one of his daughters. Obviously, he has to prove himself. No father wants to give his daughter away for free. He has to make sure that that male is dominant and strong enough and able to defend her, because that is the role of a stallion in a herd, is to defend, to put his life on the line for the female, and he will do so. So, just looking further into the sort of noises, there's about half a dozen calls. So we've got the loud snort, and then a short sort of quieter hoarse rasp. Dana, I suppose you could get a completely white zebra, but that would then be a pigment difference or pigment change. I don't think they would do very well. You could probably get an albino zebra. I've never seen one, but it's possible. But generally, this is the norm. The stripes, although the stripes are all very unique. So they also do make some squealing noises when they get bitten or kicked. And play fighting, they make little squeals that we were hearing just before. And the blowing with the loose lips that everybody knows, a typical horse sort of communication. Sort of when they're out in the fields grazing, sort of a contentment sort of sound. And then the description here is a whinny and a nicker of the horse, which is the normal typical contact calls. So very different, the zebra contact call, to the whinny and the nicker that you get of a horse. The zebra's contact call is that loud, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. It's too early in the morning, everybody. It's too early in the morning to mimic a zebra call. But we might get them making it at some point. And these boys form pretty decent bonds with each other. You can see how close they are. They're not fully grown. They're still youngsters. So it's important to hang out with some friends and get your breakfast in while playing around and keeping safe from the predators. Well, we'll send you over to Yapi this morning, who seems to have a little surprise.
We were very surprised, actually. We thought that these lions have been out of the reserve. And then we randomly picked up tracks on the road, like right here in the central part. You can see they're quite sleepy. It's mostly young ones, which is quite interesting. I saw tracks of 1 or 2 adults, and it means that they must be around. You can see a relaxed morning. One lion grazing off in the distance. It looks like they might already been or they might have already found a spot where they'll settle for the day. Now this isn't far from a large watering hole close by. And a yawn. I'm sure there might be some significant move, whether it's 3 meters back into the shade or whether it's just to flop down and lay in the shade there. What's interesting though is from what I can see, it looks like it's only for now I only see the young males. You can see those young lions busy grooming himself properly in lots of different spots, but I saw there's a bit of a cut on his back leg. It looks like maybe a hole, maybe there's a claw mark that went in there. You can see some flies sitting on it. Now, how might that have happened? I'm not too sure. Maybe it might be from another lion or around a carcass. And Sonia, how often do Birmingham Pride leave the property? Well, they've left Ngala for almost about a month and a half. We didn't see any of them. We saw this white male once in 21 days or 22 days. And then they came back like a week or 2 after that again. But it differs. We have different seasons. This season they've been quite busy outside of Ngala. And we know from reports that they've mainly been moving on the Kruger National Park side. And I think they've been quite busy. There's an interesting dynamic going on at the moment. I've noticed in years before where we do have a slightly wetter year, the hunting does become a little bit more tricky, and with lots of young males in the pride, that means it takes its toll on the older lionesses, especially at the age these guys are at. This one already has quite an appetite. And if they you have to stick with those lionesses, It's very taxing. They have to hunt almost every single day to keep them fed. So there's a bit of a split here and there within the pride, and they've been moving in different groups. Now these are young males, and they will more than likely start wandering off on their own within the next year or so. And at first they might have their sisters follow them, which is possibly because of the bond created from when they were little cubs. So the dynamics have been strange, because there's also an older young male with the pride still, with different fathers and from a completely different litter of cubs, which means that we're hoping that he might move off with them. Then also, the mother of this one has recently given birth to 3 new little cubs, and I think her sister has also recently given birth. In fact, we've seen her the other day, and it looked like she's suckling cubs. If I got your name correct, Wunda, yes, it's difficult to say exactly when the young males will leave the pride. It varies so much. I think it's not really fair to put a certain time on them, because the older young male in this group has been with the pride now for almost 4.5 years. Where these guys, he's got brothers, so he's got backing, and they seem like a bunch of lions that might wander earlier on. If I had to take a guess, maybe within the next year and a half, they'd probably do more excursions on their own away from the rest of the pride. And now he's heads down. Certainly found himself a good little spot there in the shade. And how's that lion at the back there? Found himself a perfect game path to flop himself down on, and like most of the body in the body in the shade and the head out in the sun. Ethan, I like your question. What do lions smell like? They honestly smell terrible. They don't smell very nice. Because of their lifestyle. Also, they've been moving about in wet grass lately. When they feed, they will be moving with, or they'll lay down in the grass covered in the juices of dead animals. So they don't smell too great, unfortunately. It's difficult to put an exact scent to them. I remember once I had one walking closely past me, and he was wet, and I got a whiff of him, and he smelled like a wet carpet, like a really dirty carpet that you might clean your feet on. That's pretty amazing. You can see one thing I do, I can't help to look at often. You do notice the scars on the white lines more prominently. But now that he's moved off into the shade, I think we might try and reposition to get a better view, and then in the meantime we'll send you over to Pete, who is looking at something that these lions might want to eat.
Welcome back to a slightly drizzly morning out here at Phinda. We were just driving along and we came across this beautiful herd of wildebeest. We actually, shame, we saw on the way here one of these calves that has unfortunately passed away. Often when they're young, their immune systems aren't quite so strong, and something happens, they might succumb to their illnesses, but most of them do quite well and will survive. You can see this one that's closest to us. That's the male. That'll be the dominant bull of this area. You can see he's got a very, very dark face and quite a bit of mud on his face. If you look carefully, you might see just below their eyes, on either side of their nose, they've got these glands there. And these glands secrete a liquid that is quite smelly, and that's why they'll rub their face inside the mud and put that scent into the mud. It's one of their ways of marking their territories. And also they'll sometimes rub their horns in the mud just to make them look a little bit bigger. Wildebeest also, they've got these specialized glands between their hooves, and often you'll come across something that looks like maybe a lion or something that's scraped its claws inside the ground, but it's from a wildebeest that's scraping and just trying to get that liquid once again into the soil, so they can mark its territory. You might also often see just one wildebeest by itself, and then you know, okay, this is a dominant bull in the area. And what they'll do is they'll just have their territory. They'll have a lot of beautiful grazing grass, some water, and just an area that's got sufficient food for them. And they'll wait for the females to come to them. If they've got a good enough territory, they'll attract quite a few females, just like this guy has done now. Being situated by one of the only water holes in the area, he's chosen himself quite a good spot. Lee, good question, especially coming from Yapi with those lions. What they'll do is often they'll surround the calf, so when they're running away, the calves will be in the middle, and you can imagine with those big horns, they can be quite deadly, so they're very, very good at protecting their calves. And then once again, they'll also put the calf in the middle when something's approaching, even when they're not running. So the calves all know they must stick together. And even from a young age, these calves are very, very fast. You can see that one that's just lying down now. It's actually quite a late calf. It's quite a young one, probably only a couple of weeks old. The one just behind it, quite a bit older. You can see a slightly darker color. Its horns are already pushing through, so probably a month or two older than the calf that's closer to us. Yeah, that snort of this bull. You can see he's just facing us, kind of pushing his head up, and he's telling us this is his spot. He can see us, and he doesn't want us to come any closer. It's also maybe just a thing of impressing the females that are around him. Victoria, yes you do. So especially in reserves where there are no predators around, wildebeest will definitely die of old age. But usually in reserves like Phinda or in the Kruger National Park, where they've got lots of predators, when they're getting old and struggling to keep up with the herds, usually the predators will take them out. But obviously you might get the rare case of a wildebeest dying of old age here too. If they had to live out their full year, all their years, they'd live to just around 20 years. So actually quite a long life.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Sometimes love wants to make you sing. And sometimes love wants to make you bow and fan your wings to your bow. For the southern yellow-billed hornbill, these are signs that love is in the air. These birds are destined for a season of monogamy at least. Breeding pairs are in it for the survival of their chicks. But before love commences, the male needs to woo his valentine with food in the form of nuptial gifts.
I'm Nikki here at andBeyond in Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the WildEarth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next WildEarth drive.
Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that. It's truly, truly magical.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, sorry, where we've still at this waterhole, but these two sweet little crown lapwings have just appeared out of the grass. If you look at them, they look like they're almost having a bad hair day with with all the rains last night, I'm sure they got their feathers fluffed up a little bit. But look at those beautiful, beautiful, almost orangey pink legs. You can see that little white crown there. They've got that ring above the head. That's where their name comes from. Sitting dead still, and they often around the little water holes, looking for little aquatic insects or other insects that are around. We often see them in long grass as well, or grassy plains, not only around water holes. The one just cleaning its feathers there. Glen, they're about the same size. Yeah, so Senegal lapwings, blacksmith lapwings, and crown lapwings are all very similar size. I think these guys are a little bit more plump, a little bit kind of rounder. I know blacksmith lapwings have quite long legs, but very, very similar size. I can just check for you. In my book, so blacksmith lapwing is slightly lighter, 186 grams, whereas one of these is 185 grams. So these crown lapwings are a little bit bigger. You see them just preening themselves, just cleaning off any little insects they might have or any little parasites inside their wings. You can see the one on the left just shuffling through those feathers. Birds will use multiple different techniques to... Oh, just speaking of, here's some blacksmith lapwings. Now we can compare the size really, really well. That's awesome. So, yeah, that's so lucky. You can see now these blacksmith lapwings got slightly longer legs, a little bit skinnier, and slightly more slim compared to the crown lapwing that we were just with now. So you can imagine why they're slightly lighter, only about 20 grams lighter than the crown lapwing. So we're going to sit here with our lapwings for a little while, and we're going to send you off to Trish, who's got a surprise for you guys.
Here is Tlalamba. I mean, that's the best visual we've had of her. And there it goes. She was sitting quite nicely on this bank, but the reason that we rushed down here is that a leopard was spotted and was seen nearby, but it doesn't appear to have been Tlalamba. Maybe it was Thandi. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit here, and that was just a few minutes ago. So Tlalamba was on this bank. You know her kill is up in that Tamboti tree there. She was on this bank and everything was fine, and then I think that she may have actually smelled or heard whichever that other leopard is. So we're going to stick around here, but you know how difficult it was yesterday to get a good view because it's so thick and it's right into. You can see that there's still water flowing. So we're going to sit tight and just listen out because there's a lot of ridges here. You know, if we can just manage to look over, stand up and look over these things, we might be able to find out what's going on. But also, it might be quite noisy when they meet each other, if they meet each other. And there being a kill here would be the center of all the action. So we're going to sit tight and hope that something happens, or at least that we get to see it. She was kind of using this bank as a bit of a balcony. It looked so nice. She looked like she was just watching us, you know, when you have, I know my grandparents used to do that, sit on the balcony and just watch everybody go by as if it was their business. It was so cute. That's what Tlalamba looked like. And she was sitting on top there. Very peaceful, and then something changed. So I suspect we might be in for some action. There's lovely sights and sounds here, though. And the air is very nice and fresh. Still a little muggy because of the humidity, but still nice and fresh. Oh, yes. Bridget, you want to know what's calling in the background? It sounds like a greenback Cameroptera. But I must admit that I get a tawny flanked Prinia and a greenback Cameroptera mixed up quite often. But I would say greenback Cameroptera. Chip, 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 chip. And I'm very bad at bird calls, like really, really bad. I can't even whistle. Alrighty. Well, now we've just got to wait. You got a tail? Yay. At least we have a tail. Is that a tail though, Duffy? I suspect that might just be a gap in the bushes. That's rounded like a tail. Let's see. Binoculars out. That's a suspiciously still tail. We know leopards like to move them around a lot. Oh, yay! Sutu, is that you? Yeah. Well, you definitely needed a wash. She was smelling very bad the other day. At least she's been in the water, so she can actually get a bit of a rinse. Oh, there was a bit of a flick there. Nice. Well, that's promising. So she hasn't walked off away from here. So if there is another leopard, hopefully we've got some great seats to watch what unfolds. It's very difficult to see the position of the kill from here. Just pulled up my binocular. Well, you know I pulled out my binoculars, but I can't see the kill at all. I might be able to get down onto the sand to have a look, but I think our position to actually spot the leopards would be best where we are now. Nope, can't see a thing. Oh. Busy looking for a kill, and she pops her head out. There we go. Finally popped her head out. What you gonna do, girl? See that long grass is really doing so much for her, breaking up her outline. She looks almost nebulous, you know, just a dark bit in the grass. Who else is around? Oh, looks like she's gone down. Oh well, at least we know her general area. She's always helpful. Must say she's looking nice and stocky. I said that the last time to you when I saw her. She's looking quite robust. And from her robustness, she's now vanished. Oh, there we go, out again. It's thick there. I think if we just go up onto the bank on the left here, we might be able to see something. Okay. It's not... Oh no. Davia was just saying that you're interested in have driven on that side and it was not very safe, so never mind. Next idea. She is gone. Okay. I think we'll try and reposition, but we'll try and do it when we're off here so that you don't see us. Ah, there we go. Justin, you say that leopards disappear like ninjas in long grass. They do. They disappear like ninjas in general. Doesn't even have to be in long grass. I myself can say that and admit that I myself have not seen a ninja. Or maybe I did and it disappeared. Who knows? But certainly, Justin, they do have the ability to give us the slip very, very quickly. Here comes our hyena friend again. Oh, come on, walk out a little forward so we can have a look at you. All clean. She doesn't wanna look at you guys. Finally. And there she goes. Hyena at the riverbed. Beautiful, beautiful. Are we going to stay here? Oh, she's having a bit of a drink. We're going to stay here and hope that the leopards come out, and we're going to send you over to Moritz at Tswalu to say good morning. Well, I'm sure that we'll get an opportunity to say good morning to Moritz and Tswalu soon. But we were just thinking perhaps we should go around to where we saw the kill yesterday. Let's see if we'll get lucky there. But for now, we still have Sutu making her way to the general kill area. But we've lost visual of our leopard completely. She looks so beautiful. With all that greenery behind her. I love the way they look up into the tree as if they're trying to plan a way to get up. I always think that's the type of optimism I should bring into my everyday. It is obviously an awkward position because we can't use Mulwati to go out, so we'll have to turn around and buntu bash a bit to get out, and then buntu bash a bit to get in to the other side. And considering we have nothing to look at, we should probably do that. Oh, there she comes again. Okay, let's try this again, guys. I think you need to give Mort such a big hello that no matter what, he's going to hear you. So let's go over.
Good morning, everyone. Let's try this again. Sorry for earlier, we just didn't. There was a lapse in communication. We couldn't hear when we went live, but it is a stunning morning here at Tswalu Kalahari. As you can see, guys, beautiful misty clouds that we have out here in the eastern side of the reserve, which signals some sunny weather coming up, so no more rain for us for today, most likely. Typically when we find these mistiness in the early morning, that generally burns off and then it opens up completely with some nice sunny weather. By the way, guys, my name is Moritz. Behind the camera we've got Morgan, and yeah, so we spent a little bit of time this morning tracking and locating the lions. However, unfortunately, the ones that we did find was in an area where we couldn't view them. They were literally right next to the mountain, and it would have been difficult for us to broadcast there. So we decided to move on, see if we can't find maybe some of the males or so. Just for those of you who did see the chase the other day, 2 nights ago, of those two female lions that chased the blue wildebeest calf, they did manage to kill an oryx. Must have been during the night before last, and they've now finished that and moved on. So very happy to see that all of their bellies are full and that they're doing good and the cubs are well fed and so on. However, like I said, unfortunately in an area where they just made it a little bit too difficult for us to really show you guys. So hopefully we will find, we're heading to another waterhole here, which is one of the, almost the central gathering point for the male lions when they are out patrolling. So hopefully we'll be able to find those guys and show you. It's always nice to see those big black-maned Kalahari lions. So yeah, we're hopeful for that. But just a beautiful, beautiful morning. I love that mistiness. Kyla, so the rock stars, I actually saw them. It wasn't with WildEarth, but I saw them, when was this now? 3 mornings ago. They're doing really well. The female that was pregnant has now given birth, so they are relatively static at the far burrow. However, guys, for us at the moment, it's a little difficult to get in there with all the wet weather and also with all the cables and so on. It's just a little difficult to take all of the equipment off the vehicle and walk into where the burrow site is. It's quite far in, so like I said, all the wet sand and the dew on the grass and all of those things, we're just waiting for that to disappear a little bit, and then we will show you guys the meerkats again. If we do get lucky and we find them close to the road and we can broadcast from the vehicle, we'll definitely do so for you. But yeah, Rockstar's doing really well. Mukalas and the Khosas as well, all doing really good. But yeah, so the Rockstars have new pups in the den site at the moment, which is so small they haven't even come out yet. So they must be like maybe a week or so, or no, not even, less than a week old, because some of the other guides saw the female maybe 2 days before I did, and then she was still pregnant. So that must mean that she's, at most, those puppies are 4, maybe 5 days old. So exciting times again lying ahead. Hopefully soon we'll be able to get off the car and go to the burrow site. But okay, that's only going to be in about another 10 days time when they are going to start, well, when we're going to have a chance of maybe seeing the pups come out. So in the meantime, we're hoping that they're keeping healthy and keep getting strong so that we can see them as soon as possible. But yeah, that is something that's definitely on the list to do as soon as we are able to do so. But yeah, guys, I think we're, as stunning as this view is, we are going to start moving on soon and see if we can't find those, well, either the Northern Pride or the big males. That's always, it would be great to show you the Northern Pride for a change, especially the one female. She's got tiny cubs at the moment as well, just like the other Southern Pride female, which we saw when was that, on Monday morning. Similar in size almost. So to see them or to see the big boys, that would be truly special this morning. We've been standing on top of a high point here to try and also just listen if there's any vocalization, because it's a nice cool morning, you know, even though those clouds are out. So we're listening for vocalization and so on, but they've been relatively quiet. But yeah, guys, like I said, we're going to move on a little bit. For the meantime, we're going to send you over to Trishal, okay?
We have left that site now. We're just moving to where the other leopard was seen, which is this area here, which is right next to the big jackalberry on Twin Dams Road, which is not far from the kill at all. You know, a couple 100 meters, that's it. So we're hoping that maybe whichever leopard that was would pop out. But then FC has said that James Richard managed to ID that the leopard that we actually saw was not Tlalamba, but Tswalu. And that is amazing that you were able to see that from that far. But that is very, very interesting, because I would assume that Tlalamba is close by. We haven't picked up tracks anywhere else for her. So what we're going to do, we decided to come here just to have a look if the other leopard came out. We're not sure if that other leopard was now Tlalamba or Tswalu, because when we got there, Tswalu was there. Maybe it was Tlalamba here, not the other way around. We don't know. That's half the fun, isn't it? So we can figure it out, or we can find out depending on what their behavior is like, if and when we do find them. But as we can see here, we don't see much at all. So we're going to have to move and go around, which was our original plan. I just wanted to pop in here in case we see something. I don't know if we just take a moment to listen, maybe hear some alarm calls. Claire, you'd like to know how long the hyena will follow the leopard for? She's been here for at least 12 hours now, if not, in fact, 24 to 12 hours now. But she's not here permanently. So she'll move between the kill and the den, or where other hyenas are. Remember, she's only 2 years old, so she's not completely she's still part of, she's a sub-adult, so she hangs around with the other hyenas quite a lot. In fact, she was at the den site as well yesterday. She'll come to and fro from the kill. She won't kind of, set up camp at the kill. And you'll find that you may see some hyenas this morning and see other hyenas the next morning. Because also with the clan at the kill, their ranking still matters. So she might be pushed out of that area by other higher ranking individuals and say, you go find something else to eat, this is ours. and then she comes back when those individuals are gone. So it varies a lot, very, very much. But they can smell a kill from so far away. It always amazes me. I told you they can follow a scent that's a couple days old and follow that trail to a kill. And it's amazing. You're with a leopard, they haven't made a kill, hyena sees them and they're following that leopard just in case. And then you'll see a leopard, no hyenas around, and they just make a kill. Suddenly there's a hyena. So they have an excellent sense of hearing and an excellent sense of smell to be able to pick that up. I'm not hearing any alarm calls that may give away these leopards. No, nothing. Ooh. Kingfisher, kingfisher. I'm just going to turn around. Turn around and see. Looks like a giant kingfisher. Hopefully it's landed close by because we're right at the dam. No, we don't seem lucky. You got him? Oh, it is a giant kingfisher. Yay! Well, actually, it's great that Davi was questioning it because a lot of people might be confused because you often see a pied kingfisher here. And the pied kingfisher is also black and white. But it's smaller, much smaller. So the pied kingfisher is only about 80 grams, 85 grams. Jamie, you say that's so cool? Why, thank you very much. Very cool indeed. A giant kingfisher is about 350 grams, so it's a big, big guy. Okay. Somewhere around there. Oh no. It's gone. Alright, well now let's just get on with our plan and see what's happening with the leopards on this side. And then we'll let you know what we find out.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from South Africa and I'm the incredibly lucky winner of the Tswalu competition. Tswalu has so much to offer, but we're really looking forward to the game viewing options, as going out with a personal guide who has so much knowledge will just be exceptional. Motsi Lodge looks absolutely amazing and we're so looking forward to spending time there. It really is out of this world. I only registered as an explorer towards the end of January, so when the email arrived stating that I was the winner, it took me totally by surprise. I'd just like to thank WildEarth and Tswalu for this most incredible prize. It really is a dream come true.
WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Riverbeds are a great way to find water and look for places where elephant have excavated hollows. You can then dig into the sand, and after a couple of feet you should find damp sand which then can be squeezed out or siphoned off for water. And with water being one of our scarcest resources, it is a good idea to conserve water where and how you can.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
We are on our way to the other side, so now we're just on the southern boundary, and we need to get through this dip so that we can see what's happening with the leopards there. But at least we have a nice view of the Mulwati flowing across the road. Some nice soft sounds. And still no clues as to what's going on that side. It's sort of a big mystery in that thicket. I want to get there to see what's happening. At least we have somebody to keep us company. There's a bat Leo that's looking off in that direction. Maybe it can tell us what's been happening there. Hello, Batslia. Would you like to look our way? No? Okay, you keep your eyes on what's happening there. Viola, you'd like to know which bird do I think has the largest, it has the loudest call? In South Africa, a hadida. And in the world, it's a white bellbird. But definitely in South Africa, I would say hadida, since they scream with all the force that they have, and they can wake up your entire neighborhood. They wake me up very, very often, and everyone in South Africa knows the sound of a hadida. Oh, finally we get to see the face of the batlia. I love batlias. I think that they're one of the prettiest birds out there. They are truly Draculine. I don't even think that's a word. In fact, I know that's not a word. What I'm trying to say is that they remind me of Dracula. Something very serious and something that I can imagine an orchestra playing behind it as it comes onto the scene. That's what I think when I see a batlia. Beautiful, beautiful colors. I must say the air seems to be cooling down just a little bit, which is great for breathing. But a tad chilly. Carmen, you'd like to know why do the juveniles look different or their colorations are different? It's because, and that's not just for batlia, that's for a number of birds. And that's why it can be confusing when you identify birds, especially when they're in a transitional stage of their plumage. And that's because it takes a long time to develop different kinds of plumage. So most often the plumage that birds first develop as chicks as just this downy, fluffy whiteness or brownness. And then as they start to develop actual feathers, they will develop the color which is best suited for them to be camouflaged at the time when they are most vulnerable. And more often than not in the bush, that is brown or some kind of dirty white, paley kind of color. And that's important because they need to be well hidden at a time when they can't defend themselves. And it's only after that period when they start to fledge and actually become adults that they'll develop the nice adult coloration. Also, before the adult, we know that with birds, coloration is plays an important part in sexual selection, who your mate's going to be, and things like that. And that type of investment in coloration is not important at a stage younger than adulthood. It's such a finely curated process. It's been so carefully selected so that so there's no waste in investment, no waste in resources. And like with a battalion, it takes 7 years for their full adult plumage to come in. Because it only comes in when it's necessary, when that animal can actually use that adult plumage to their advantage and mate. Also, feathers can only change color once they molt. They can't just change color. They can't just change while they're on the bird. They've got to fall out, and then a new feather that is the different color will have to be exposed, so that takes time as well. Randall, you'd like to know how heavy this bird is? It's about 2 kgs and a quarter, 2.25 kgs. Which is quite large. It's sometimes called a battalion eagle, but it's not really a true eagle. You can see that it has no feathers on its legs, and true eagles have feathers on their legs. I think in the time we've stopped for these other little things, Subui or Tlalamba or whoever's around at the moment might come back onto the bank, but I still need to check the other side for us to be sure about that. I'm not hearing anything either. Edna, you'd like to know what qualifies a bird as being an eagle? Well, one of those things are, well, firstly, they're predatory. Secondly, they have feathers on their legs. They're generally large, so you might get a predatory bird that's small, but would not be an eagle. Oh, did I hear an elephant, or I just have wishful thinking? They have excellent eyesight. They usually have quite long gapes on their, which are sort of the side bits of their beak. We've just got to move for another vehicle. Let's come in.
Hello everybody, you've arrived just in time to join us for a coffee at the Leopard Dam, as we are going to allow you just to soak in a little beautiful moment this morning. Beautiful morning, beautiful sounds of Leopard Dam. We were following up on tracks of a male leopard, but he moved towards the north, and they were very fresh, but there is a male leopard in this area that is very skittish, so we weren't able to find it. Vegetation's very, very dense. We did a little bit of a loop around to see if we could find anything, but nothing, so we decided to come down here, and we are now going to allow you all just a little bit of a silent moment to soak it all in. So Andrew loves the beauty of nature. You probably hear a couple of voices in the distance. The eco-training group is also closed down on the other side for coffee. Very important part of your guide training practices is the ability to set up a coffee stop and host a coffee stop, and one must not forget that while on a coffee stop there's still opportunity to embark knowledge and to share and to teach, and also a very good time I've always found to get to know your guests, get your guests to talk. When you're on a vehicle driving around for 2 hours, people aren't really engaging. You always find there'll be one or maybe two that are way more engaging than the rest. And you need to, at those coffee stops, engage those individuals that have not been engaged. It's a good time to get to know each other, get to know them. A great time to also show a few tracks, introduce them to some local cuisine, form of snacks, rusks, biltong, a marula in your coffee, for example. I often used to sit people down and do silent moments at my coffee stops. A moment for people to reflect. You don't have to do that all the time. Every now and again is good. Good time though to chat. Shoot the breeze, as they say. Also gives you an opportunity to not have to speak while others talk. I've been listening to you for hours. You can engage that opportunity if you so desire. Well, Trevor, by listening to sounds, you can find animals. You can protect yourself. If you look at the size of animals' ears, you'll notice that hearing is a very important safety mechanism. So if you want to stay alive, it's important to listen. If you don't listen out here, it becomes very difficult to detect many of the very common noises that are associated with danger. If you're in an area where there's no danger, then you don't need to hear those sounds. But it's not just the warning sounds, but nature's very soothing. The bird calls and the noises that the environment produces, the wind. I'm going to quickly send you over to Djuma.
To get to the other side, and now this is Kalamba 100%. I just wonder what she's doing there. So that must mean that Sabi is around here somewhere also, because now we're on the other side of the bank. What are you doing there? The grass is so long that just as we move, she might just pop up. There's nothing like a leopard sighting and another leopard sighting all rolled into one, is there? I'm just hearing something up there. Let's just get up onto the top here and just have a look, because we will still be able to see her. Okay, we can still see Kalamba through here. Let's have a look at this girl. But it was almost as if something had gotten to the kill. It sounded like there were a couple growls, possibly at the hyenas that were there, and a bit of a climbing sound. It would be great if we could actually see both Lalamba and the kill. Oh, the amount of times she's just stood by and watched somebody else hit her kill. Poor girl. And she's definitely looking at something. I just have this feeling like something's about to happen and we're going to stumble upon the other leopard very soon. And that for me is one of the best feelings in the bush. There's something right around the corner. See how she's looking in the direction of your kill. She doesn't know what to do about it. Oh well, when all else fails, let me play around and scent mark a little bit. That's good old-fashioned Lalamba fun there. Oh, go. Let me be cute instead of being angry. There's a life lesson right there. The heads in this vehicle are just going from right to left, to right, to left. What's happening? Oh, so difficult. You saw those tembutis last night, so thick. Lalamba, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about your kill? It was risky it being so close to the southern boundary, basically on the southern boundary. I can hear something happening in that tree. It's a hyena. We'll see it just now. Oh! Playful girl, her namesake. Lalamba. I love when she occasionally does her meerkat pose. Like she did for a little bit there when she exposes her white underside. She reminds me so much of Hosanna, especially now she's gotten bigger. She does very much. She's got similar markings above her eyes. But most of all, she's got a similar personality, very playful. And she is very good to us at sightings. Most of the time. James, you were hoping that Lalamba will avoid the clash with Sabui. I hope so too. But we've seen Subui clash with Thandi. Remember that sighting we had where Thandi and Maribs, he was not named at that time, he was still quite small. We were looking at the spotted eagle owls in the Mulwatian, and she just walked into frame, and so did the cub. And then she ended up sending the cub high into the tree because Subui was around, and it was a very dignified standoff from both parties, and eventually Subui moved off. So I hope that if they do clash, it'll be that same kind of respectful clash between two very strong leopards. I'd love to see them next to each other. It's always a good way to get to kind of gauge their size, because to me I think Tlalamba is quite a big female. But I think that Shidulu might be even a little bit bigger. But those things all kind of happen in your head, because very rarely do we see them, really next to each other where we can size them up properly. So it'd be nice to see Subui and Tlalamba at least close-ish to each other. But definitely, I would prefer that they don't clash. Especially not because I just want to see what the size difference is like. If Subui is in that tree with that kill, she's unlikely to come down anytime soon. We'd have to go to her to see it. I've never seen two leopards fighting for a kill inside the tree before. That would be very interesting, but also animals will try their hardest not to actually engage in a fight until they're left no other option. Because once they start engaging in a fight, then it's not just about hurting their opponent, but they could also potentially get hurt too. And in the wild, there's nobody to take care of you or anything like that, and then you get an injury that compromises your survival completely. So always better to try your hardest to survive. Beautiful. Now she has one of the hyenas nonchalantly walking around. Okay, we're going to go check out that kill. See if we're successful. Then we'll send you over to Phinda, who has something that's very, very cute.
Welcome back to Phinda, where we've just come to this waterhole here, and we were just scanning around, and we found these tiny little white-faced whistling duck chicks. So sweet. They must be only a couple of days old. You can see them all kind of scattered around. Mum and Dad just keeping an eager eye out on them. And while I was sitting here, I actually just read up on how many chicks they have. So they lay between 9 and 11 eggs. And I was just counting here, and there's 11 chicks. So that is insane. Right on the upper level of the spectrum. And that's quite a lot of eggs. I didn't realize it would be that many. Look how they just follow Mom around. Oh! Mom just chasing an intruder. See? Doesn't want any other birds too close to her chicks. White-faced whistling ducks are monogamous, so they'll have one partner for their life. But I'm not too sure. I can only see one of the parents here for now. It's amazing. As mom flew off, those chicks all just huddled together just to keep safe. You still see them there, someone? Okay. They are moving behind a tree for now. Might have to shoot forward. But you can see where they are at the moment. They're not out in the open water. They're just on the edge between the reeds. And obviously a little bit easier for them to swim there. A few more insects for them to feed on. You can hear that. That's them calling. Okay, so there's mom and dad back together now with the little chicks. Reposition. Okay, I'm just going to reverse slightly here. And forward, okay. You can just get this little gap here. There we go. There's quite a few other ducks that have just joined. Yeah, Bernie, there are a lot of little chicklets. Chicklets, I haven't heard that one before. But, yeah, very, very sweet. So awesome to see. And you can imagine now, after these rains, they must be so happy. There's a lot more water around for them. This waterhole, actually, in winter, there's no water whatsoever here. So they'd have to move as it gets a little bit drier. Oh, we can see some hippos at the back as well. Just making a bit of noise. Looks like the one's rolling over there. And only quite recently, after the big rains we had here, did this waterhole fill up. So the hippos made it literally within a few days. They were here. But as a result, there was a lot of grass in here. And with all the water, it ended up making the grass like die and start rotting. So it's quite a smelly waterhole at the moment. Especially if the wind's blowing the wrong way. It really doesn't smell that good. Look at hippo in the back, at the back right there. It's just rolling around. I think it's got quite a young little calf next to it as well. Look at it rolling on its side there. See that calf just popping its head up every now and then. So the calves, they can't hold their breath for quite as long as a fully grown adult. And they also suckle underwater. So they'll keep popping its head down, maybe suckle a little bit and then come back up. You can see just popping its head up now. Very sweet. Yo, look at that big splash. So hippos can't swim. When they do move in the water, they'll be moving along the ground, running along the ground. And you can see there, they've chosen a patch that's not in the middle of the waterhole. So a patch that's slightly shallower than the middle would be, obviously.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
So in 1998, we had this idea to go and put a live web camera on a waterhole somewhere in the Sabi sands next to the Kruger National Park. And I approached just about every single landowner, and everybody thought I was completely crazy until I met Yuri and Pippa Moorman.
We thought it was definitely a fun idea and a worthwhile thing to experiment.
And it immediately became a runaway success. And it gave people all around the world the opportunity to watch a little piece of Africa day and night. Back in 1998, it was the very early stages of the internet. And all we were able to do was to get a 30-second refreshing JPEG out of that camera. But over time, what we began to do is focus more and more on trying to develop this concept of giving people the opportunity to go on safari.
Even though we live just 500 meters up this hill, we still put the camera on to see what's happening.
Absolutely, we watch it ourselves.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
Welcome back to Phinda, where we're still with these hippos. You can see they've come a little bit closer to us now with their little inquisitive eyes checking us out. You know, hippos are very territorial, and any foreign vehicle or person or animal, they'll come in and investigate and see what's going on. So earlier there was a question from Mali, who I didn't get around to answering, and Mali was asking whether hippos mate in water, and they do. So hippos will mate in water, and obviously their body is quite interestingly designed, so the water helps with the buoyancy, helps with the mating process, and they're actually the only mammal in Africa that mates in the water. So quite interesting. But then when they give birth, it can happen either in the water or on land. Obviously, when it is in the water, the mom's going to have to push the calf up towards the surface. Can't swim straight away. So just so it can get some air. fully grown hippo like this, we're mentioning it's suckling underwater. One of the youngsters, you can see that's just popped his head up there. A fully grown adult will be able to hold his breath for quite a while, about 5 minutes, and then a young one, especially when it's just come out, so it'll only hold its breath for about 40 seconds. So it'll go down, suckle for a little bit, and then pop its head back up, catch a breath, and then go back down. They are also quite shy when they first come out, when they're first born, so they won't be spending too much time on looking around. So Timothy, they are warm-blooded, as all mammals are. They are able to regulate their body temperature with their blood. So it is quite interesting that they are aquatic mammals, so they spend a lot of time in the water. But one of the main reasons for that is just because of their skin being quite sensitive to the sun, and them just feeling a lot more comfortable in water, where they'll rest for a lot of the day. They're quite active now, but usually hippos in the middle of the day, they'll be resting and just taking it easy, because they do most of their moving about at night time when they leave the waterhole to go and find grazing areas. They can travel vast distances to go and find areas of grazing, especially in winter, when there's not as much food availability. See those bubbles just popping up as it's moving underwater. We were mentioning earlier how they don't swim, but rather they run on the ground. You can see they're just following the bubbles or the kind of the movement of the water. You can see exactly the direction that they're going. Greg, it's a pod of hippos. A pod. Yeah. Quite a cool name. You can see quite a few of them there, and then there's one just in the background giving us a big yawn there. Yeah, just exposing those teeth that are actually the only use that they have is for self-defense and intimidation. They don't use them for chewing or for bite or for nibbling on anything. They've got molars at the back that are there for that purpose. Those big teeth that you see often when a hippo is yawning are basically, yeah, just to intimidate the others, and also when they're fighting they'll bite one another and cause quite a lot of damage. His teeth are very, very sharp. Let's just tell you, when we were on our way here, we bumped into a serval, which I've never ever seen on the reserve. We were unfortunately not able to film it because it was quite skittish. I don't think it's seen too many cars, and they don't actually get seen very often on Phinda. Since I've been here, it's only been seen a couple of times, so I was very, very, very ecstatic. But hopefully one day we'll get to film one. But it's quite lovely. There's so many birds calling and the hippos making such lovely sounds. I think let's just sit here for a little while and just listen and take in all the different sounds. Isn't it just lovely, Tando? So many different birds calling. Heard woodland kingfishers in the background. White-faced whistling ducks going rudds of palace, so there's some amazing birds calling. So we're going to carry on now. It's been such a lovely scene down here at the waterhole, but we're going to see if there's anything else that's out and about. The roads are very wet, so we're limited to where we can drive today. But we're going to send you off to Maritz, who's out on a mission.
Okay, so we had a look for those males at the other waterhole. Unfortunately, there's not even tracks for them around, so we decided, you know what, we're going to come and have a look at if the den site is still active of that female with the 4 cubs. And it does seem like she's moved it. After the rain, there's no tracks coming in or out, and as you can imagine, with it being a den site, she will most likely, well, would have most likely been at the cubs and back out again at least once after the rain from yesterday. So we couldn't see any tracks or any evidence that there's still activity at that den site where we saw them on Monday morning. And with that being the case, it's now a whole new process of trying to, you know, find, well, bonus will be to find her and then have her lead you back to the den site. But we'll have to see how we go about it. Apart from that, the animals has been hiding this morning. We just spoke about it. We did. You see, so we've got 2 prides of lion, the northern and the southern pride, and then we've got the dominant coalition. So the coalition is 3 adult males. Then the northern pride is around 10, 11 lions at the moment. I'm not sure about how many cubs they've got, small cubs at the moment, because there is more than one female that has split away from the pride and looks like they are going to establish a den site soon. So that there might be quite a few new additions to the northern pride, but that we know of is about 11, maybe 12 lions in the northern pride. And then the southern pride is currently at 13. 3 adult females and then the 10 cubs. All of them very young, under a year's age. So we technically don't really count the cubs before they don't turn 2 years of age. Let's have a look. There's a beautiful northern black coron. I'm going to switch off the car. He's busy doing his little territorial display. Very loud little bird. He's going to fly in the circle now, and you can hear now he's stopped calling, but he's still doing that little flying all along the boundary of his territory. Typically when we do come closer with a vehicle, they immediately start vocalizing, and then on occasion they fly up and they show us where their territorial boundary is, which is quite cool. I rather enjoy those birds. The red-crested coron is always as well special with the little mating display, but these guys are truly beautiful. Lots of striking colors. But yeah, to come back to the lions, guys, yeah, 13 lions in the southern pride, of which we can only really count 3 because the 10 cubs are under a year's age still, and then the northern pride around 10, 11, possibly 12, and we are not sure about the amount of small cubs that's around in the northern pride at the moment, because the one female dens all the way up into a mountain, so we can't, well, definitely can't drive there, and also definitely won't walk there, because she will have us for breakfast if we do that. And then So we'll have to wait for them to be introduced into the pride itself, or for her to move the cubs to a area where they are a little bit more accessible. Chrissy, so the prides break away from one another. Well, it's, yeah. The sub-adults will break away from the original pride or their natal pride almost on a constant basis. So when it comes to the young boys, as soon as they reach sexual maturity, as soon as they start realizing that they find females very interesting all of a sudden, then the dominant males, their fathers, will see that as a threat, because all of a sudden these young boys are going to want to mate with the existing females. So he's going to see that as a threat, and then they're going to chase them away. So then they'll break away. And then as far as the females is concerned, as long as the pride isn't too big, you'll find that the females that are born within the pride will most likely remain within the pride. It's only in exceptional cases where you find that smaller prides actually do split up and form two new groups. But if you find a pride which is like, let's say, 20 lioness, the possibility of the young females that were born in the pride is, well, moving away is there. So yeah, guys, we're gonna carry on, see if we can find something. At the moment, we're going to send you just over to Trishala.
Tlalamba has this knack of, as soon as you think, okay, right, I'm done, I can't bundu bash anymore, going around in circles looking for her. As soon as you're done and you drive out, she makes herself available. So she's now quite far away from where everything was happening. We're by the big Jackalberry and Twin Dams Road, where we were looking for the other leopard earlier in our segments. She's now sitting here. But she's still looking off towards the kill. So in the time it took us to go round and check out different areas to find her, she walked across the Mawati and a little bit west. The majority of today's safari for me has been through the binoculars version to have a good look. She looks really great there, and she does look concerned in the general direction of her kill. Still waiting to see Sabi. Just a matter of time, and this afternoon. So, well, this afternoon I hope that they will be around too, because when we went past and we could actually see the kill, there was still a substantial amount left. Still very difficult to see though. So someone is going to be here this afternoon, whether it's Tlalamba, whether it's Sabi, maybe even Tandy. Alice, you'd like to know why she keeps rubbing her feet on the ground. They'll do that especially so they have glands on their feet that they can rub. When they rub their feet into the ground, they're actually scent marking. Not nearly as strong as scent marking using their urine, but they will still do that. And you'll find that they do it most when it looks like they're concentrating on something. So they'll do it when they're actually scent marking and doing a patrol as well. But when there's something that's happening, when they see other leopards, you'll see them salivating. You'll see them marking their feet like that. Look at her looking at us now, and now looking back to kill. It almost feels to me like when they do that in this kind of situation, it's almost like agitation. Now, luckily for where she is now, we might be able to get a view of where she's looking at if I can position myself correctly and not tip this car over the banks of the Mulwati. Those are our two options. Get a good position or tip the car over. There's no in between. But I don't see anything as far as my eyes can tell, and I can see pretty well in the gap through that area, even though the camera can't. And so far I don't see any movement. You can even see her tail. For the little bits that we can see, it'll be moving. Also another sign that the cat is not totally relaxed. Something it has got its attention, a bit of agitation. That doesn't necessarily mean aggressiveness. It's just like, when you get agitated or anxious. Keep moving your tail. I mean, if you have one. But if you're a leopard, and you do definitely have a tail, keep twitching the tail. Sometimes it's regarded, especially the tail movement, as a display of mood. But I don't like that term because mood is such a human concept. It's some sort of change in excitement or change from the normal. So maybe it's the tail will move when they're actually aggravated, maybe when they're a little bit anxious, but it's a change, or whether they're excited, but it's a change from the normal, stable, comfortable leopard. MK, you'd like to know what are the chances of finding a pack of leopards? Well, first, MK, I have to know how you define a pack. Is 4 leopards a pack, or only 6 leopards a pack? Because the leopard density in the Sabi sands is very high, as you would know. So there have been occasions where there have been 6 to 8 leopards in one sighting in this area. So would you consider that a pack? Ooh, not bull ducks. It may appear that way, but regardless, even if you see a big collection of leopards together, it's still not a pack, because a pack suggests that there are bonds created between those individuals and that they stick together. Not that they occasionally show up at a sighting numerously. Even though it may look like, whoa, there's so many leopards all around. But they don't, their social structure doesn't allow for those kind of relationships, especially not sustaining that kind of relationship. We know that they're solitary, but we also know through our experience of spending so much time with, especially the cats that we have here, or the leopards that we have here, we know that they associate with their kin, and we've seen them associate very pleasantly and very civilly with their kin. Tlalamba and Thandi associate. Tlalamba and Tingana associate. I remember having Hosanna under a tree with Tingana in the tree, and then Thandi just walking by as well to just have a look at them. All related. Well, if not through blood in the sense of Tingana, but at least through mating. Hosanna is his son. Thandi was his sister. And then Thandi mated with Tingana to have Tlalamba. So everybody knew each other and they associated without any problems. So then we know that, but they are not pack animals. So the likelihood of seeing a pack of leopards is 0. But there are occasions on where it may look like you have a pack of leopards, but in fact you just have several in the same area. Hi, Kai. You'd like to know how many cubs can a leopard have? They will usually have 1 or 2 cubs. You don't often see more than that, although it is possible. But you don't often see that. In fact, there may be that in a litter. Oh, off she goes now. Maybe in a litter there may be more than 2. But only 2 survive, or only 2 survive to the point where we get to see them. Anyway, I'm just going to move a little further in front of me, see, because you'll be able to see where she's gone down to. Okay, we should see something. Okay, she's coming up on the bank on that side. Oh no, there's a thickney. Now, I've seen her hunt thickney before. If I were you, I'd get out of the way. Look at that tail. James, you're happy to spend time with Tlalamba? Always, aren't we always happy to spend time with her? Oh, there she goes. She's quite far away from us now, but at least she's still giving us a show. Kai, you were asking about how many cubs the leopard can have, and I said it's usually 1 or 2, but I hope, I mean, you can get 3 too, but you don't see it very often. But I hope that with Tlalamba, I just have this feeling, I'm not speculating, I'm not saying anything, I think that she will produce cubs sometime in the near future, or at least that's what I hope. She looks like a childbearing leopard, or a cub-bearing leopard. She looks like a good size, and she's looking really well and healthy, and she's like the right age. So I hope, Kai, that she may produce 3 little cubs. How awesome would that be? Her eyes have got this kind of green tinge to it, even though they're the yellowy, normal leopard kind of color. They have this lovely green tinge to it. And whenever she's in this lush grass, and that's all that's in frame, you know, her and the grass, it really brings out those eyes. Too beautiful. She's been excellent to us right now because if she moves, she'll be completely out of our sight. So she's been very accommodating and we must be very thankful to her. So we're going to stick with her for as long as she sticks around and at least till the end of the show.
It's no secret that nature can heal. Some of our WildEarth viewers are finding solace in the outdoors close to their homes during lockdown.
This is how I keep myself busy during lockdown. Beautiful little jumping spot.
I love walking in the open spaces near my home. Provides a moment of peace in a crazy world.
This is my fire escape with some of the birds I get to see. That's what it's like in New York City during lockdown.
Being in nature helps me to cope with the challenges of life and helps me to be humble and grateful.
It's magical watching everything turn into a winter wonderland as the snow softly falls.
Been doing lots of walking, dog walking, outside at parks.
This is my Ridgeback Drake. Our little slice of paradise is a provincial park called Hopewell Ross.
Connecting with nature is critical to stay positive during these tough times. WildEarth encourages you all to find time to escape to nature.
The reason why we see that wildebeest by himself is because he's a male, or a bull, as we typically would call him. And what he does is that he marks and defends an area. Essentially, he is looking for the ultimate piece of land or prime property. Needs to have good grazing, needs to have a water source close by. And not too far away from here, there's a sickle bush thicket that would provide just enough shelter from the wind and the rain.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
We have been so lucky that she's decided to stay still for us so we can, for the last few minutes of drive, at least have a good look. Oh no, Talama, what are you doing? Well, off she goes. And I can't move around too much. So I'm stuck with my face for the last few minutes of drive. Let's see, oh, there's some crested francolin. A nice youngster there too. You can actually see the crest properly. Shame. You know, actually, these guys, we drive past them so many times because we see them so often. But they're actually amazing little birds. And they obviously have some great survival techniques because they all make it, and you see little ones of them, or little ones of the francolins, running about, and I don't see them taken by leopards as often as I would think, but they're always there to let other animals know, like ourselves, that there's a predator around. Yes, you are a good addition to the bush, and today we're going to appreciate you in the last few minutes of this drive. The alarm call loudly. Sometimes they get, oh, look at that one just photobombed in there. Sometimes they get a little bit too excited and alarm call at all sorts of strange things. But either way, they give us clues. Yes, you do. Nothing like a good ground bird. That's actually a lovely shot. We don't get to see them so nice and close up like that, because they usually run away very quickly. But now they're nice and close because we've been static here for a while. Well, you go about your day, lovely Franklins. Thank you for being around for the end of the show. And thank you all for watching, for your questions and your comments and sticking with us. We'll see you at the sound.